Emotional maturity isn't a destination you suddenly reach or a trophy you collect. Rather, it is a way of walking through the world with a sense of quiet, grounded competence. It is the ability to navigate the complexities of human feelings, both your own and those of others, without losing your footing. When we look at people who move through life with this kind of grace, we start to see a pattern. They aren't perfect, but they have cultivated specific habits that allow them to handle stress, conflict, and joy with a unique kind of steadiness. One of the most foundational habits of an emotionally mature person is their commitment to self-awareness. They don't just react to the world, they observe their own reactions. When they feel a surge of anger or wave of insecurity, they don't immediately lash out or hide. Instead, they pause and ask themselves why that feeling is there. They understand that their emotions are data, not necessarily directives. By recognizing their own triggers and biases, they prevent their past wounds from dictating their present behavior. This internal clarity allows them to remain the captain of their own ship, even when the waters get choppy. Flowing naturally from that self-awareness is the second habit, the practice of taking full responsibility for their lives. An emotionally mature individual has moved past the stage of constant blaming. They don't point fingers at their partner, their boss, or their upbringing to justify their current unhappiness. While they acknowledge that external circumstances can be difficult and even unfair, they focus their energy on how they respond to those circumstances. They own their mistakes without drowning in shame, and they apologize sincerely because their ego isn't so fragile that it can't handle being wrong. To them, taking responsibility isn't a burden, it's the ultimate form of personal power. As they take ownership of their own world, they also become masters of the third habit, setting and respecting healthy boundaries. They understand that saying no to something that doesn't align with their values is actually a yes to their own well-being. They don't use boundaries as a weapon to shut people out, but rather as a map to show people how to love and respect them. Because they value their own time and energy, they naturally extend that same respect to others. They don't take it personally when someone else sets a limit, because they realize that everyone is responsible for their own emotional capacity. This leads us to the fourth habit, which is perhaps the most visible in social settings, the ability to listen with empathy. In a world where most people are just waiting for their turn to speak, the emotionally mature person listens to understand. They can hold space for someone else's pain or perspective without immediately trying to fix it or making the conversation about themselves. They have a high degree of emotional intelligence, which allows them to pick up on the nuances of what isn't being said. By being a safe harbor for the feelings of others, they build deep, authentic connections that are based on mutual respect rather than a need for validation. The fifth habit involves the way they handle conflict. Instead of seeing a disagreement as a battle to be won, they see it as a problem to be solved. They have moved away from passive-aggressive behaviors, silent treatments, or explosive outbursts. Instead, they use I statements to express their needs and remain curious about the other person's point of view. They're more interested in the health of the relationship than they are in being right. This doesn't mean they're doormats. It means they have the strength to remain calm and focused when tensions rise, seeking a resolution that honors everyone involved. Finally, the sixth habit that ties everything together is their capacity for self-regulation and resilience. Life is inevitably full of setbacks, but an emotionally mature person has built a toolkit to manage their internal state. They don't expect the world to be their therapist or their parent. Whether through meditation, journaling, or simply taking a long walk, they know how to soothe their own nervous system. They allow themselves to feel their feelings fully, but they don't get stuck in them. They view challenges as opportunities for growth, trusting that they have the internal resources to handle whatever comes their way. In the end, these 6 habits create a life that feels less like a series of accidents and more like a deliberate, meaningful journey.
By practicing self-awareness, taking responsibility, maintaining boundaries, listening with empathy, resolving conflict with grace, and regulating their own emotions, these individuals find a sense of peace that isn't dependent on their circumstances. It is a quiet, steady strength that invites others to grow alongside them, making the world a little more stable for everyone they touch.